got a light, buddy? Yeah, sure, kid. Here you go. And your wallet. That's not a knife. Now that's a knife. Sorry to burden you with a horribly hammy intro section, but I really did think if one knife deserves that bit of Australiana recited, it is the Spyderco K2, which has finally arrived. Let's have a sneaky peeky at it, shall we? So the K2 is a titanium frame lock knife made by Spyderco of cartoonishly large proportions. It's a bearer of the CPM 10V steel, which is a pretty rare steel and definitely on the higher end of high-end steels. And you get a big old chunky piece of it, clocking in at about 3mm thick. So it is a tall, thick, murdery knife that has a fairly ergonomic handle for something that does look, and I must admit, feel, at least initially, fairly blocky. But these are just initial impressions and just more of a general discussion about the knife. So when you order your Spyderco K2, you'll get a Spyderco knife and you'll get a Spyderco box, and it'll come in a little piece of bubble wrap. And if you're in Australia and you order your K2, you'll also get a couple of additional items, one being a package that it was open for inspection, and the other being a 6-week wait time. So there you go, just factor that into your decisions. I got this knife in the now sort of infamous Knife Centre K2 sale, which spawned the ownership of hundreds, surely, of new K2s. They're everywhere on the internet now. The price was about $150 US, down from about $400 US being the retail price. So it was a crazy sale. It was 67% off. So even me here in Australia, it ended up being about $250 to get it over here. And I just couldn't say no to such a cartoony knife, which I would never buy in any other conditions if it was full price. I thought, you know what? Let's have a folding version of the Trailmaster 2. So what is this knife for? This knife is for fun, damn it. It's just for having a big, fun, cool knife to play with. Let's look at it versus some other knives to get a true sense of awe and scale. This is the K2 versus the Benchmade Mini Griptilian. The blade is a fair bit longer and a fair bit wider, and the handle is a fair bit longer and a fair bit wider. In fact, the Griptilian is only a little bit shy of fitting into the entire handle of the K2. This is it next to what was one of my larger folders, the Ontario Rat 1. And I suppose if you were to look for practical use, it would probably serve a similar purpose. This would make a pretty good woods knife or camp knife, really. It's got a really hard, tough steel, and it's got a nice flat grind for your food prep tasks, and it's a big and strong knife. And you know, at the worst, it could possibly be put into a self-defense role against sort of the wild bunyips that you might come across in the Australian bush. And this is it, next to the Spyderco Mantra, which is another titanium frame lock from Spyderco. So let's look at this blade, shall we? Let's zoom in a little there. You get a very nice flat grind. It's got a bit of a sort of blank spot there, but it's definitely nowhere you'd want to be choking up on. It's got a Tai Chung Taiwan stamped just there, and it's got Farid K2, who is the knife designer and the knife model, stamped there. And on the back is Spyderco, and then the steel that they're using, which Spyderco always helpfully add there, CPM 10V. You've got a Spyderco label there, which, not dissimilar to the Mantra, does bear that sort of laser. When you laser these sort of high carbon stainlessy sort of steels, they do kind of get that brownness behind them. M4 is kind of a similar steel, not as flash as this one, but it is a bit more prone to rust when you open up the pores of the steel like that, so to speak. You get this nice trailing point here. Some people grind this off to make it more of a drop point, to make the knife look a bit less murdery, but come on people, it's a 4.5-inch knife blade on a 5-inch handle. It's going to look murdery no matter what you do to it, unless you put it in Willy Wonka's shrinking machine and shrink it all the way down to the size of a Mantra. So there we are. The titanium handle, it is, you can see it's got sort of square shoulders, but it is sort of contoured to at least you know, the shape of a hand a little bit. It's got a lanyard hole at the back there. It's got just 2 screws on the construction, so very, very simple, including the lanyard hole is, I guess, another standoff. It's thick titanium, and you can see it's a titanium frame lock there. That screw there is the lock bar over travel stop, which is on the inside of the knife. There is no contact, no stainless steel contact plate against the knife tagno, so this does have a little bit of lock stick when you first get it, but it's already going away, and I reckon in a few more dozen openings and closings it'll be gone. The blade has a smoothed off section here for you to put your thumb against, so there's absolutely no jimping on it, which it's neither here nor there to me really. I'm not going to be using this knife for repeated hard use tasks, I don't think. This is just a knife, fits the same kind of role as I said as my Trailmaster. It's one of those big fun knives that are completely capable tools, but just a tad too big to be really carrying and using too much. The clip is tipped down only, one way only, so it's a bit of a shame they didn't make a mill there, but I guess they're all about having a show side, and there's no option to move it at all. I do like this little zigzag they do along the liner, the frame of the lock. I reckon that's pretty cool as well. Overall, I think it's a really cool looking knife. It's definitely the size is what's the most remarkable thing about it, and quite wisely they didn't take any shortcuts in terms of that. There is a mini K2 that Farid makes himself as his custom knife, which is about probably the size of like a paramilitary 2, perhaps in that 3.5 inch blade. This is definitely a 4.5 inch blade. It's really, really big. So what would you use this knife for? Well, I would be very hesitant to use it at all in public. I would happily carry it around my home, but I think there's going to be a couple of absolute solutions or consequences of drawing a knife like this in public. Let's have an example, shall we?
Pardon me, I seem to have some tape stuck over the entrance of this box here. Does anyone have a knife they could just have a little bit of a snip with and perhaps help me?
Yeah, no worries, Sonny Jim. Yeah, let's get out and give you a hand with that. That may be a slight dramatisation, but I think it is probably a sound one at the very least. This is a large knife. So. But I'm very happy I've got it. I'm very happy it finally arrived. I thought this was in the dead letter office for sure. Or it was on, it was been pinched by someone, or I thought the worst. Or I had this fear. My specific fear was that someone at customs had opened it, and because of this lock stick, they'd gone, uh-oh, I've broken it, and then just thrown it in the bin and thought, we'll just say it was lost. So, who knows, but here it is, crisis averted. So anyway, I'll be doing a full review on this later. I am going to carry it around the home and that perhaps, other private places where I won't get instantly arrested for pulling this thing out. And I'll be interested to hear, to sort of collect my thoughts on it myself. I still haven't really made up my mind on how practical and how useful this thing actually is. So, and I'm really looking forward to getting some miles on the steel as well. Alright, thanks for watching guys. Hope you enjoyed. See you later.